check 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 yes yes okay okay เดี๋ยวโอเคโอเคเดี๋ยวบอกให้พี่วิเชษฐ์ถึงยังครับโอเคพี่วิเชษฐ์ไปสแตนบายตรงคันทีให้หน่อยสิบางทีต้องมีคนเปิดเชือกไอ้ red rope อะไรอ่ะนิติน่าจะอยู่แถวนั้นฮะพี่ช่วยไปดูตรงนั้นหน่อยเผื่อต้องหยิบนู่นหยิบนี่โอเคโอเคครับขอบคุณครับโอเคโอเคได้ครับขอบคุณครับช่วยดูให้หน่อยyes yes they're open it's open yes yes okay
हेलो हेलो गुड मॉर्निंग सवादी खाप सर यहाँ से बोलेंगे पिछली बार तो संदीप सर यहीं से बोल के यहीं आ जाते थे और यहीं से जिसको भी आना होता तो यहीं आता था हेलो हेलो
यार उसकी फोटो नहीं आएगी बंदे की हमारे हेलो हेलो या थैंक यू Can we place this podium here for the MC?
No, we cannot for now.
I will pick it up.
Because now the time is already close.
We have time. We have time.
But I have to set up.
No, we need not set up anything. We can just stand at this mic. Can be put next to the podium.
Can you ask Puniti first? Because I have to follow him.
Okay. Okay.
Galaxy A225G disconnected.
From Tolstoy he learned to value the dignity of labor and respect for the farmer and all working people. When he returned to India, Gandhi did not do too well as a lawyer. He was fortunate when he was invited to go to South Africa by a group of Muslim businessmen. It was in South Africa that we see the beginnings of tolerance in Gandhi. Not only injuries in war, social injustice of the worst kind was inflicted on non-whites. For the most part, the whites treated them like chattel or animals and referred to them as dirty dog. It was in response to this inhumanity that Gandhi helped to found the African National Congress. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, a doyen of the freedom movement who had visited South Africa, had been so impressed by Gandhi's weapon of satyagraha that he invited him to return to India. On Gokhale's advice, Gandhi undertook a long journey throughout India, a sort of Bharat Darshan, to acquaint himself with conditions in India. Gandhi noticed a great deal of political consciousness, but at the same time he saw that the average Indian was timid and submissive, that society was divided and superstitious, that the country was poor and exploited. After educating himself on Indian realities, when he did decide to enter the political arena, he did so having made a final decision. For the people, with the people. It was easy for the masses to understand Gandhi because he spoke their language. He lived as they lived, dressed as they did, and so they identified with him. Considering the terrible plight of the common people, Gandhi decided to defy the imposition of a tax on salt, the basic need of human beings. This led to the famous Salt March to Dandi.
Namaskar, Sawadee-krap. His Excellency Khun Chuti Kraila, Minister of Social Development and Human Security, Kingdom of Thailand. Her Excellency Ms. Armida Salsia Alice Jabana, Under Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of ESCAP, Madam Alpana Dubey, Chargé d'Affaires and Deputy Permanent Representative of India to ESCAP, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. On behalf of the Embassy of India in Bangkok and ESCAP, I am delighted to welcome you all to the observance of International Day of Nonviolence. This event is jointly organized by the Embassy of India and ESCAP. On 15th June 2007, the United Nations General Assembly decided to observe the International Day of Nonviolence each year on the 2nd of October, the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, who led the Indian independence struggle and inspired many more movements for civil rights and freedom across the world. We observe this important day every year at the United Nations Conference Center here to renew our resolve to continue to uphold the ideals and principles espoused by Mahatma Gandhi. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin this commemorative event with screening of a short video clip on Mahatma Gandhi's ideas and philosophy. These ideas and principles continue to be relevant as always. May I request my colleagues in the conference center to please play the video on screen. Thank you.
In a world torn apart with strife, he walked a very different path. The journey and the destination were one and the same. The freedom he sought was inseparable from peace and non-violence. Deeply rooted in India's civilizational values, Gandhi channelized the timeless philosophy of peace for the realities of the contemporary world. Truth for him was both the means and the end. The desire for truth, satyagraha, was the cornerstone of Gandhian politics and philosophy. The truth for Gandhi was the threading together of the principle of Sarvodaya, holistic development for all, and Antyodaya, upliftment and dignity for the weakest. Armed with this inner truth, Gandhi created a mass mobilization unmatched by anything the world has ever seen. Picking up a handful of salt as an act of defiance, or creating the political metaphor of the charkha, the humble handloom, his symbols for India's freedom embodied not only the deep moral strength of peaceful resistance, but also the vision of sustainability of an economy with human dimensions. Nothing ever happens in isolation. With startling clarity, Gandhi saw how the crisis of the modern world affects us all, and how the transition from conflict to cooperation needs a global response guided by a shared sense of humanity. His life was his message, walking together on the long road to peace and sustainability. Let us be the change we want in this world.
May I now request Madam Alpana Dubey, Chargé d'Affaires, to kindly come up to the podium and deliver her remarks. Thank you.
His Excellency, Mr. Jyoti Kraireks, Minister of Social Development and Human Security of the Kingdom of Thailand, Her Excellency, Ms. Armida Salsia Alice Jabana, Executive Secretary of ESCAP, Excellencies, members of Diplomatic Corps, representatives of Indian diaspora community, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar, good morning, Sawadika. It is an honor and privilege for me to welcome all the distinguished guests to this event to commemorate the 16th International Day of Non-Violence today. As my colleague Mr. Sandeep has mentioned, in 2007, the United Nations General Assembly unanimously adopted a resolution initiated by India to declare 2nd of October the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi as the International Day of Non-Violence. The decision of the United Nations reflects the universal respect for Mahatma Gandhi and his ideas and philosophy. Gandhiji's philosophy is based on the principles of ahimsa, that is non-violence, satyagraha, force born of truth, and sarvodaya, upliftment of all. His message of peace and non-violence is of universal and eternal relevance. In Gandhiji's own words, non-violence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. It is mightier than the mightiest weapon of destruction devised by the ingenuity of man. At the heart of Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of non-violence was his belief that strength comes from righteousness, not force. Power comes from truth, not might. And that victory comes from moral courage, not imposed submission. He said, I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent. Mahatma Gandhi displayed a rare combination of human values. It was his quality of practicing what he preached that made him the real Mahatma, the great soul. Mahatma Gandhi led the freedom struggle of India, and his leadership inspired millions of Indians to unite in the cause of India's independence. Many great leaders, such as Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr., drew inspiration from Gandhiji's philosophy of non-violence to guide their movements of freedom and justice. Gandhiji also inspired prominent personalities in science and business. When asked by Time magazine about his choice for the person of the century in the year 1999, Steve Jobs replied, Mohandas Gandhi is my choice for the person of the century because he showed us the way out of the destructive side of our human nature. It was in South Africa that Gandhiji coined a new word for his non-violent actions called satyagraha. Satyagraha is made up of two Sanskrit words, satya and agraha. Satya means truth and agraha means holding on to something. So satyagraha literally means holding on to the truth, even at the cost of one's own life. Satyagraha is different from passive resistance. It was conceived as the weapon of the strongest and excludes the use of violence in any form. The Champaran Satyagraha of 1917 was the first Satyagraha movement led by Mahatma Gandhi, which was a mass uprising by the indigo farmers to protest against injustice. The Champaran Satyagraha gave direction to India's youth and freedom struggle. Gandhiji's concept of sarvodaya, upliftment of all, seeks that benefits of growth and development should reach all sections of society. The philosophy of sarvodaya can be the guiding principle to solve the problems of inequality, poverty, unemployment, corruption in public life, etc. Today, when the nations across the world continue to grapple with the threat of conflict, violence, terrorism, Gandhiji's message has become all the more important. All around us, we witness that violent means do not bring about lasting change, that violence cannot bring about peace. Gandhiji taught us that the best way to resolve conflict is through dialogue and peaceful means. Further, Gandhiji's emphasis on sustainability is most relevant in today's scenario when the whole world is facing the catastrophic consequences of climate change as well as pandemic like COVID-19. Gandhiji had said, the world has enough for everyone's needs, but not has enough for everyone's greed. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, which the international community has collectively adopted, are essentially in line with the Gandhian way of life. Gandhiji's philosophy contained a complete and holistic ideas encompassing every walk of life and society. Besides nonviolence and satyagraha, these include health and sanitation, women empowerment, education with the objective of character building, decentralization through empowered local self-governments at the grassroots levels, etc. Gandhiji's life, ideas, and work are of crucial importance to all those who want to make a better world. The ideals he stood for in theory and practice are universal, in character and in both space and time. They shall remain relevant across generations and continue to offer solutions to the challenges faced by the humanity. Before I close, I would like to thank His Excellency Mr. Chuti Krairex, Minister of Social Development and Human Security of the Kingdom of Thailand, for accepting our invitation to grace this function. I look forward to his remarks. I express my gratitude to the UN and the ESCAP Secretariat in particular, the Executive Secretary and her team for having co-hosted this event with the Embassy. I would like to thank our guest speaker, Professor N. Radhakrishnan, a very well-known Gandhian thinker, educator, and author, who has written extensively on Gandhiji, for having agreed to share his valuable thoughts with us today. We greatly appreciate the participation of the senior officials from the Government of Thailand, the Diplomatic Corps, the representatives of the Indian community in this event. In the last, I would like to thank my embassy team for their hard work in the organization of this event today. Thank you, Kapunka.
Thank you, Madam CDA, for your kind words. May I now invite Her Excellency Ms. Armida Salsia Alisjabana, Under Secretary General of the UN and Executive Secretary of UNSCAP, to present the message of His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, on this occasion and to deliver her own remarks. Please, ma'am.
Excellency Mr. Chutin Khairek, Minister of Social Development and Human Security of Thailand, Ms. Alpana Dubey, Charge d'Affaires of the Embassy of India, and Deputy Permanent Representative to ESCAP, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning, Sawadika and Namaskar, and welcome to the commemoration of the International Day of Nonviolence. I have the honor and privilege to read the message from the Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, on the occasion of the International Day of Nonviolence, before proceeding with my own remarks, and I quote, "The International Day of Nonviolence celebrates not only Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, but the values he embodied that echo across the decades: peace, mutual respect, and the essential dignity shared by every person. Sadly, our world is not living up to those values. We see this through growing conflicts and climate chaos, poverty, hunger, and deepening inequalities, prejudice, racism, and rising hate speech, and a morally bankrupt global financial system that entrenches poverty and systemic recovery for developing countries. We can defeat these challenges by embracing Gandhi's values and working across cultures and borders to build a better, more peaceful future for all. By investing in people's health, education, decent jobs, and social protection to prevent people from falling and catch them when they do. By ensuring access to financing and debt relief for all countries. By supporting developing countries as they build resilient infrastructure and protect population from the impact of climate change, while also accelerating the transition from planet-killing fossil fuel to renewable energy. By securing and upholding the rights and dignity of all people, especially the most vulnerable and girls and women who are too often denied their basic rights. By taking concrete action for inclusion, recognizing multicultural multi-religious and multi-ethnic society as a richness and not a threat. Gandhi's life and example reveal a timeless pathway to a more peaceful and tolerant world. Let us walk this path together in solidarity as one human family. And I end quote. Excellencies, distinguished guests, 15 years ago, the United Nations General Assembly expressed its desire to secure a culture of peace, tolerance, understanding, and nonviolence. Those were the words the Assembly used in 2007 in adopting the resolution that established 2 October, the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, as the International Day of Nonviolence. 15 years later, our world faces a host of challenges, including the recovery from COVID-19 pandemic, fighting climate change, and suffering from an increasing number of deadly crises, as well as natural disaster. Our strength in dealing with this crisis lies in unity, not division. We need to work more together to reach peace, tolerance, and understanding. Tolerance is defined as the willingness to accept behavior and beliefs that are different from your own, although you might not agree with or approve of them. In order to deal with today's challenges, we must come together and embrace that diversity of thought, and the best ideas and solutions come from a variety of sources. In that same vein, understanding goes hand in hand with tolerance. The more we understand each other, the more we can overcome our differences. The words of the General Assembly should resonate with us just as much today as they did 15 years ago. We will forever have Gandhi as an example of how we should respond to whatever difficulties may come our way, inspiring us to be the best we can be, living our lives with inclusivity, compassion, and respect for our neighbors. These principles also guide the United Nations. So in that spirit, let us never tire of the efforts we must make to live up to the ideal the General Assembly wanted for us in the resolution, as inspired by the great Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you very much, Kapunka.
Thank you, Madam Executive Secretary, for your kind remarks. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite our chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Chuti Kraila, Minister of Social Development and Human Security, Kingdom of Thailand. His Excellency holds a bachelor's degree in economics and a master's degree in business administration from the University in Queensland, Australia. A former Secretary General of the Democrat Party, he has been elected 7 times as Democrat MP and is a former Information and Communication Technology Minister of the Kingdom of Thailand. May I request His Excellency to deliver his kind remarks and share his thoughts with us. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Mr. Chuti Kraila. Please.
Good morning, Sawadee Krap, the Executive Secretary of ESCAP, the members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellencies, Sergeant of Affairs of Embassy of India, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted and honored to be here for commemoration of the International Day of Nonviolence at the United Nations Conference Center. As you all may be aware, the 2nd of October, the birth anniversary of the great Indian visionary Mahatma Gandhi, was declared as an International Day of Nonviolence by the United Nations General Assembly. This is a clear manifestation of the importance attached to the ideal of nonviolence for which Mahatma Gandhi stood for in his entire life. The kernel of his life's message, which makes that message eternal and universal is peace and nonviolence. Nonviolence, as Mahatma Gandhi said, is not the weapon of the coward, but the weapon of the strong. On the other hand, peace is not just the absence of conflict. It is the creation of an environment where all can flourish, regardless of race, color, creed, religion, gender, class, or caste. Mahatma Gandhi was indeed unique in this modern world to advocate non-violent methodology for solving social, economic, political, and religious problems. He also described poverty as the worst form of violence. And today, this notion is still relevant. While we have made progress in addressing extreme poverty, inequalities have grown significantly. To this end, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development spells out 17 goals, among which ending poverty in all its forms everywhere stands out as the most important goal. The Royal Thai government also attaches great importance to the achievement of the SDGs and paid a lot of effort, attention on narrowing inequality in various aspects, reducing poverty and eliminating all forms of violence. Today, the world is desperately in need of nonviolence as a way of life to spread the gospel of love, brotherhood, and peace. Only the path of nonviolence can truly bring about harmony in the world. I would take this opportunity to congratulate the Embassy of India and UN ESCAP for organizing this ceremony to mark the occasion of International Nonviolence Day and spread the message of nonviolence. Thank you very much. Sawadee krap.
Thank you, Excellency, for sharing your kind remarks and your thoughts on Mahatma Gandhi, his ideas, ideals, and values. We are deeply humbled and we thank you for gracing this occasion. May I now request Honorable Minister, Madam Executive Secretary, and Chargé d'Affaires to kindly take the seat in the audience. And we will now play a pre-recorded message of our guest speaker, Professor Neelakant Radhakrishnan. Professor Radhakrishnan is an eminent Gandhian thinker, a peace activist, an educator, an author, Dr. Radhakrishnan is an author of over 75 books in English, Hindi, Malayalam, and Tamil on Gandhi, peace, education, and harmony. Professor Radhakrishnan is presently chairman of Gandhi Peace Mission. As a recognition of his work and leadership, the government has appointed him as director of Gandhi Smriti, the premier Gandhi Institute and Gandhi Memorial. I request my colleagues in the Secretariat to kindly play the video message on the screen. Thank you.
Namaskar. Let me greet all of you on the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti, that is the birthday of the father of the Indian nation, and all of the distinguished guests, friends who are attending this very important commemorative function. This year's Gandhi Jayanti has another significance. That is, the Indian nation globally celebrates and observes the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, that is the 75th anniversary of India's freedom. The glorious Indian movement for freedom from the colonial masters under Mahatma Gandhi and others, as most of you know and the historians have recorded, opened up very, very vast vicissitudes and opportunities for the Indian, not only Indian community, but for the global. And this particular event generated, triggered, inspired millions and millions of freedom fighters all over the world to examine the possibilities of the strategies, non-violent methods Mahatma Gandhi and his brave fighters for Indian freedom used to assert their right to be a free country, as well as raising their voice against oppression, human rights violation, gender equity, as well as their concern for the health and wealth of nature, because one of the lessons that humanity learned from Gandhi's 22 years of experiments in South Africa, 3 years his experiments in Great Britain when he was a student, and almost 32 years of Gandhi struggle for Indian independence after Gandhi returned to India in 1914 and until he passed away on the fateful 30th January 1948, was a glorious period of introspection, dedication, as well as they opened up vast vicissitudes of fresh initiatives in the global community to look for within and sharpen their skills and abilities to rise and march towards freedom, as well as discovering themselves, their potentials. Friends, when we are observing Gandhi's birthday on 2nd October globally, the global community has a special significance. This day is a day of prayer. This day is a day of meditation. This day is certainly a day of reflection and also taking stock of what everyone has to contribute to enrich the fiber, the texture, and also the contour and nature of our life in conformity with the emerging realities as we see around. Indian freedom was a glorious chapter, certainly in the annals of world history today for 2-3 reasons. The first reason was the democratic ideals that India enshrined in her constitution, thanks to very incisive, dedicated, loyal efforts by the lawmakers of this nation to offer a veritable feast of democratic ideas and institutions nurtured in what we consider secular, administrative, as well as distributive justice, which will ensure equal opportunity for every citizen of the country. It's not a small thing to rejoice. So when we say the 75th anniversary of India's freedom, as he said, a long march to freedom, where millions and millions of people participated, sacrificed their youth, also went to jail and suffered persecution. And there were patriots who walked up the gallows smilingly, hailing Jai Hind. They were inspiring moments, electrifying moments. So today, as a citizen of a glorious civilization, the Indian civilization, with folded hands, I would salute all the great freedom fighters who made India a free nation, standing shoulder to shoulder with the Mahatma. To all of them, the patriots and those who sacrificed, the martyrs and the known and the unknown freedom fighters of this country. That is number one. And the second is, why do we observe Gandhi's birthday, Gandhi Jayanti, as is called in India, the birth of a great prophet of peace, non-violence, truth, and a great experimenter and a searcher for what one might say alternative lifestyle, alternative technology, alternative to many of someone who dedicated his life for ushering an era of dialogue, reconciliation, forgiveness, sustainable peace, as well as towards our inalienable right to live peacefully on this globe, on this earth, singing the glory of unity, harmony. What are the lessons that we can learn from Gandhi when we go ahead? Gandhi certainly cannot be treated as a leader who belongs to a very, very distant past. Gandhi's work, 21 years or 22 years in South Africa, and the remaining 32 years of work in India, as I already mentioned, were all rooted in life affirmation. Were all based on the challenges of day-to-day life and how man can face courageously, with conviction, fearlessly the emerging scenario, whether it is human rights or whether it is in the art and possibility of developing alternative technology, which one might call intermediate technology or whatever it is. And what man leaves for future, these are very, very important issues. In a situation where we have a new humanity, we have a new family, and most of the institutions that we have cherished and thought that they would help us or protect us from many of the onslaughts. The situation is man is ethically, morally, spiritually back to square one. Nobody talks about, or very few people talk about these values and how these values have become civilizational entities, or maybe the basis of our survival. And where do we go from here? It is here that the lesson from Gandhi becomes significant. Gandhi left us almost now. Next year, humanity will celebrate the 75th anniversary of Gandhi's martyrdom. That means it is almost 75 years since Gandhi passed away. It is a fact that more and more segments of international community examines Gandhi's ideas, his work and philosophy with more interest. It's a fact. The emerging scenario, please don't misunderstand me, when I highlight a certain challenges that you and I, humanity, and our children and grandchildren are faced with. Number one, how do we tame the manner of violence, the way it is getting escalated everywhere? That this monster of violence is keeping humanity at bay. We have all of a sudden become victims of this monster. And what about our sustained efforts to eliminate poverty, end discrimination? And how do we ensure distributive justice of wealth, natural resources, also to cry a halt to the exploitation and insensitivity with which preservation of nature's balance is nobody's concern. And a lot of talk is going on about elimination of poverty and hunger. Is it not a fact that poverty still lingers, malnutrition continues, and a large segment of human population are not getting enough food? And what kind of progress are we talking about? Decline of moral, spiritual, ethical considerations, and extending tentacles of consumerism and cross materialism. All of a sudden, man has become just a commodity whose value is being judged on the basis of its purchasing power. Religious and ethical values have been nourishing the fiber of human civilization and promoting sustainability. These values have become almost forgotten aspects. Nurturing of unprincipled political order and fostering irrelevant cultural semantics, appearance of militarization in a new garb. These are all frightening scenarios. It was against these Gandhi, with tooth and nail, fought, but he fought non-violently and highlighted the importance of developing what we call the soul force or the Atma Shakti. Gandhi was trying to evoke the strength of the interior monologue, the power that dwells in every human being, and make every human being a fearless, frantic, courageous searcher of truth and action. To Gandhiji, philosophy without action was big zero. But that doesn't mean that he was not a philosopher. But Gandhi was certainly not a philosopher in the conventional sense. He was an activist, out and out an activist whose philosophy of action and whose vision of life were nurtured in life affirmation. Let me profoundly congratulate the Indian Embassy here for having given me an opportunity like this to interact with some of you and also offer a few of my reflections on this great day, because it's a day of prayer, day of hope, day of rededicating ourselves to peace, harmony, and sustainability on this earth. Peace be with every one of you. Thank you. Namaskar.
On behalf of the Embassy of India, I thank Professor Radhakrishnan for his inspiring message. The next item on today's program is a vocal musical performance by Ms. Ravinder Kaur and her team to pay tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. Ms. Ravinder Kaur is a singer and a volunteer at the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, Embassy of India, Bangkok. She is accompanied by Mrs. Vijay Hasm, Mr. Amarpreet Singh, and on tabla is Mr. Mehtab Singh. The vocal performance by Mrs. Kaur and her team will be followed by a musical rendition of a bhajan or a devotional song based on Rag Khamaj, dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi. This is presented by Mr. S.P. Singh and Mrs. Meenu Singh, with Mr. Pasuk Visori on tabla.
लाठी पकड़े चलते थे वो शान से, जालिम कांपे थर 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 सुन के उनका नाम रे। ऐनक पहने लाठी पकड़े चलते थे वो शान से, जालिम कांपे थर 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 सुन के उनका नाम रे। बंदे में था दम वंदे मातरम, बंदे में था दम वंदे मातरम।
Once upon a time not long ago, there was a boy who would grow to be a great soul. He lived in India. His name was Gandhi. He believed in human rights and fought for equality. Once upon a time not long ago, there was a boy who would grow to be a great soul. He lived in India. His name was Gandhi. He believed in human rights and fought for equality.
बंदे में था दम वंदे मातरम, बंदे में था दम वंदे मातरम।
वंदे
मातरम, वंदे में था दम वंदे
उनका छोटा सा और सरपट उनकी चाल रे, दुबले से पतले से थे वो चलते सीना तान के। कद था उनका छोटा सा और सरपट उनकी चाल रे, दुबले से पतले से थे वो चलते सीना तान के। बंदे में था दम, वंदे मातरम, बंदे में था दम, वंदे मातरम। When he was young, he grew to be a lawyer and then he became a spiritual warrior. He read from the scriptures of every religion and came to realize they were all non-violent. When he was young, he grew to be a lawyer and then he became a spiritual warrior. He read from the scriptures of every religion and came to realize they were all non-violent.
Bande mein tha dam, Vande Mataram, Vande mein tha dam, Vande Mataram,
Vande Mataram, Vande mein tha dam, Vande Mataram, Vande mein tha dam, Vande Mataram, Vande mein tha dam, Vande Mataram.
भाई भाई का दुश्मन है बना रे, नफरत की आंधी बहती रे। वैसे दिलों को बापू प्यार सिखा दे, आजा रे अब आजा रे। भाई भाई का दुश्मन है बना रे, नफरत की आंधी बहती रे। वैसी दिलों को बापू प्यार सिखा दे, आजा रे अब आजा रे। ऐनक पहने लाठी पकड़े चलते थे वो शान से, जालिम कांपे थर 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 सुन के उनका नाम रे।
कद था उनका छोटा सा और सरपट उनकी चाल रे, दुबले से पतले से थे वो चलते सीना तान के।
वंदे में था दम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे में था दम, वंदे मातरम,
वंदे
मातरम,
वंदे में था दम, वंदे
मातरम, वंदे में था दम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे में था दम, वंदे मातरम,
वंदे में था दम, वंदे मातरम।
दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल, साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, रघुपति राघव राजा राम।
आंधी से भी जलती रही Vande Mataram.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Kaur, and your team for the wonderful musical performance. Thank you so much. The Honorable Minister needs to leave for some urgent work now. May I request His Excellency, Honorable Minister for Social Development and Human Security, to kindly come onto the stage for a photo. Madam Executive Secretary, Madam Sajid Affairs, on the floor, please. May I request other ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps kindly come onto the stage for this photo, please. Maybe we can make 2 rows, one the same way you've been following for some time now. Thank you. One then on the, can I request you to please come? Yeah. Please, come. Yeah, please.
Okay, one more please. Mic on the left. One more. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. We have a small token of appreciation, our gratitude to the Honorable Minister and Madam Executive Secretary. Kindly. Sir, yes. Madam. Madam Executive Secretary, please. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Excellency.
communicate with the protesters.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam ES. We will now continue with our cultural performance. Mr. S.P. Singh, Mrs. Meenu Singh, and Mr. Pasuk Veshori on tabla.
Bring it here.
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम 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 भज प्यारे तू सीताराम 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 भज प्यारे तू सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम
सबको सम्मति दे भगवान।
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन
रघुनंदन जय सिया राम जानकी वल्लभ सीताराम।
जय रघुनंदन जय सिया राम जानकी वल्लभ सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। पतित पावन सीताराम।
पतित पावन सीताराम।
वैष्णव जन को वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे।
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो
तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव
जन तो
तेने
कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे।
पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान न माने रे।
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे।
सकलो लोक मार सोने वंदे निंदा न केरी के नीरे। सकल लोक मार सोने निवंदे निंदा न करे के नीरे।
वाच काच मन निश्चल राखे जन तो तेने कही जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कही जे
समदृष्टि ने तृष्णा त्यागी पर स्त्री ने मात रे समदृष्टि ने तृष्णा त्यागी पर स्त्री ने जे मात रे
जिह्वा थकी असत्य न बोले जिह्वा थकी असत्य न बोले पर धन नव झले हाथ रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कही जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे
पर दुखे उपकार करे कोई पर दुखे उपकार करे
तोए मन अभिमान ना आने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कही जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे
पीड़ पराए जाने रे
पीड़ पराए जाने रे
वैष्णव जन को तेने कही जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे
Thank you very much.
I thank you, Mr. S.P. Singh, Ms. Meenu Singh, Mr. Visori, for that mesmerizing rendition of classical, the devotional song, what we call bhajan in India. As we come to the end of the day's program, I, on behalf of my embassy and on behalf of ESCAP, would like to extend our sincere gratitude to all of you for having taken out time from your busy schedule and attending this event. We are really thankful for your kind gesture. As we move out of the hall now, there are some refreshments which we have arranged just outside the hall. Kindly join us for the refreshments. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you.